What is up with it? It's your boy, Mr. Chandler. It is time for our weekly video series about ways you see math in your everyday life. This is week 2. I did not do any honorable mentions this week. Remember to always subscribe and like the video, please. It helps. And now to get to our top 5. There we go. Number 5. If I average 25 seconds per lap on Luigi Circuit on Mario Kart Wii, how long would it take me to play the track 15 times? Well, this is obviously something we could calculate. It wouldn't be too difficult for us. But I especially like this question because it ties into first of all, because I like this video a lot and it relates to it. But it ties into this larger genre of recording times and finding out the fastest ways to do things. And those are both obviously in the real world and in video games a lot. There's this whole speedrunning community of all these different games, not just racing games, but tons of different games where people are actually looking at the deeper mathematics within the game to figure out what's the actual fastest way to do it, what are consistent ways to do it. And a lot of people spend quite a bit of time deciding on those strategies. And if you like a particular game, I'm sure there is probably a speed run of it. Number 4, what is the perfect ratio of sugar to Kool-Aid? Well, I actually would like to know this answer. I think kind of as you drink more and more Kool-Aid, you can dilute it a little bit and make it a little bit healthier for you. But I remember as a kid mixing different flavors, and that would be kind of a secondary question to this: is what's the perfect mix of Kool-Aid? Like which flavors should you put together? What ratios of that will taste the best? But again, it's really just in the list because of this Kool-Aid Man video.
Hey,
Oh yeah. Number 3, I was playing a soccer game and I wanted to know the ratio of our amount of possession to the other team's amount. This is a very important question at all levels of soccer. This is something that gets tracked very heavily, especially in the last 10 years. It's been a bigger focus. And this, again, is in just this greater genre of advanced analytics for sports and for other things too. But there's been an increased focus in recent years in sports, whether you like soccer or whether you're interested in another sport. There's probably some advanced analytics, and there's probably a whole team of people who are researching or making decisions based on those stats. Number 2, how do the sun and moon affect low and high tide mathematically? Well, this question interested me a little bit, and I had to do some different research for it. So we go way back to Ptolemy, who's 180. So this is pretty long ago. He's a mathematician, astronomer, geographer, astrologer. This is the dude, Ptolemy. So he had a few different works, but Tetrabiblos was a very important one from him. Supposedly this was about as well known as the Bible around the time. So there's the book. He did some work and explained different zodiac signs and horoscopes. So there's all of that mess, but that's not really what we're talking about. If you don't know horoscopes, they're like, you have your specific zodiac sign based on, I don't know if it's like the position of different planets or something. And then that's supposed to tell you like what you're doing this week or what you should expect or what to look out for. So all that random stuff. Shout out to my Sagittariuses. But really the important thing is he mentioned the influence of the moon on tides in that book. So that's why he's in here. After him was Johannes Kepler, who you may know of just like the space telescope. One of them is named after him. This dude. Yeah, scary. Then we had Galileo. We had Newton. Newton, obviously, with his law of gravity. So that's obviously important as far as tides and the sun and the moon's effect on them. After Newton, Laplace, who is a French mathematician, astronomer, he did some additional research, made some additional discoveries. In 1776, Go USA. That's some of his calculations there. So obviously we're dealing with some pretty advanced math going on. Then there's been a few different people who have contributed, but Dudeson, yeah. 1921, he was a British oceanographer, and he actually used his tidal calculations to calculate the best date for D-Day in World War II. So that was something interesting I learned. But he again just did some additional research, has some different formulas, and was tracking data on the moon and the sun's effect on tides. So we've actually figured basically all of this out as far as how much the sun and the moon affect tides. If you want to pause and read this page, go for it. This math's not super crazy. To number one now. Number one, why do some traffic lights stay red longer than others? I think I'm biased toward this question because I have a soft spot for traffic mathematics for whatever reason. I think it's very interesting. It's obviously something we encounter a lot, but I think it's one of those really tough to tackle areas, but also like really easy to kind of wrap our heads around the general idea of it. So there's different books on mathematics and traffic. There's a ton of different models. Obviously, a lot of people's jobs involve the best way to set up traffic lights or roads or highways in order to be efficient. And so there's all kinds of different simulations and calculations and things going on, which is pretty interesting to me. I don't know if it's interesting to you, but obviously math is behind all of that. So I thought this was a particularly good question. Some of the math is relatively like high school level, and some of it's obviously getting up there, and there's some use of calculus and other things. But pretty cool stuff. A lot of good questions this week. If you have a really good question and you feel like I am ignoring you, feel free to message me or let me know that I should choose yours, and I'll give it a look for sure. Thanks a bunch.